Come down from that pole. Let us see. After today, you will never disconnect light in your life again. The angry voice of two women echoed through the street that afternoon. Everyone rushed out from their houses, confused and curious, because the neighborhood Nepa man was already halfway up the pole with his ladder, ready to cut off their light as usual. He had been tormenting the area for months, collecting money twice, extorting the poor, and threatening to disconnect anyone who refused. But this day, things were different. Down the pole, two giant dogs stood restless, their sharp teeth shining in the sunlight, barking in a way that made even strong men step back. The women who owned the house folded their arms, their eyes blazing with fury, as the Nepa man looked down from the pole, sweating, trembling, and realizing that his days of wickedness had finally caught up with him. The Nepa man's name was Mr. Benson. He was known in the whole neighborhood as a man without pity. Anytime he came with his ladder, people would begin to panic. He never followed the rules. He would collect money from tenants, then still threatening to disconnect their light. If you begged him, he would insult you. If you cried, he would laugh. Many poor women had sold foodstuffs just to pay him, yet he would still come back the next week, demanding more. On that fateful afternoon, Mr. Benson entered the street again, carrying his long ladder on his shoulder, whistling as if he owned the whole area. His eyes went straight to the house of two women, Mrs. Grace and Mrs. Olivia. Those women had suffered enough from him. They had paid him extra money many times, but he still returned again and again, demanding more. That day, they looked at each other and whispered, "Today, he will learn a lesson he will never forget." As usual, Mr. Benson shouted in his arrogant voice, "If you don't bring extra money now, I will climb and cut off your light." He put the ladder against the pole and started climbing. The neighbors gathered, watching silently, because they too were tired of his wickedness but feared to speak. But immediately Mr. Benson reached the top of the pole and held the wires. Mrs. Grace whistled sharply. Suddenly, two huge dogs, Bruno and Rocky, rushed out from the backyard. Their chains had been loosened, and their eyes burned with anger as they barked furiously. The sound alone shook the ground. Everyone in the street gasped in shock. The Nepa man froze at the top of the pole. Sweat poured down his face like rain. He looked down and saw the dogs standing directly under the ladder, their sharp teeth shining, their bodies shaking with rage. If he tried to come down, they would surely tear him apart. The crowd began to murmur, "Ha! This man's wickedness has finally caught up with him." From the crowd, Mrs. Olivia folded her arms and shouted, "Mr. Benson, come down now. Let us see. After today, you will never disconnect light in your life again." The Nepa man's lip trembled. For the first time in his life, the proud man began to beg, "Please, please, chain those dogs. I will not cut your lights again. Please have mercy." But the women only laughed. They had been waiting for this day. The whole street became silent. The only sound was the heavy barking of the two giant dogs, their paws digging into the ground as if they were ready to jump on the ladder at any second. The Nepa man's legs shook on the pole. He was sweating so much that his shirt became soaked, and his voice cracked as he cried out, "Please, Mrs. Grace, Mrs. Olivia, I beg you, change these dogs. I will not disconnect your lights again, I swear." But the women did not move. Instead, Mrs. Grace raised her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "Mr. Benson, today is your judgment day. You have been stealing from innocent people, collecting extra money from poor widows, threatening mothers, and laughing at their tears. Did you think God was not watching you?" The crowd began to murmur in agreement. Some women shouted, "Yes, tell him, this man has finished us with his wickedness." Mrs. Olivia stepped forward boldly, her eyes burning with anger. "Listen, Benson," she said, pointing at him with her finger. "Before we chain these dogs, you must empty your bank account into ours. If you don't, then stay on that pole and wait for the dogs. They are hungry and they don't mind eating fresh meat." The Nepa man's mouth dropped open. He could not believe what he was hearing. My whole account? He stammered. Yes, Mrs. Grace shouted. Every single naira. You will leave this place alive only with your empty account. If not, come down and let our dogs feast on you. The dogs barked louder, almost as if they understood the words. The Nepa man's body shook so badly that he almost lost his balance on the pole. He looked around for help, but nobody moved. In fact, the neighbors were enjoying the drama. Some even clapped their hands, saying, "This is the punishment he deserves. Let him test fear for once." With trembling hands, the Nepa man pulled out his phone from his pocket. His voice shook as he begged again, "Please, just take half. Don't finish me." But Mrs. Olivia shouted back, "No, all of it. You have been finishing us for years. Today, you too will be finished." Slowly, with his heart pounding, Mr. Benson began to make the transfer. He typed the account number the women gave him and pressed send. The first alert entered, all of it. Mrs. Grace reminded him. He scrolled through his banking app, tears rolling down his face, and kept transferring until there was nothing left. The women smiled as the alerts kept entering their phones. Ding, ding, ding. The sound of victory. The crowd erupted in cheers, shouting, "Yes, let him suffer. This is justice." When the last kobo had been transferred, Mr. Benson raised his shaking hands and cried, "Please, I have done it. Please let me come down. Don't let the dogs kill me." Mrs. Grace looked at Mrs. Olivia. The two women exchanged a satisfying smile. Then Mrs. Grace whistled again. The giant dogs slowly calmed down and stepped aside from the ladder, still growling and baring their teeth. Now the whole neighborhood waited to see what would happen next as Mr. Benson prepared to climb down, broken, humiliated, and penniless. With fear in his bones and shame on his face, Mr. Benson carefully climbed down from the pole. His hands were still shaking, his legs weak, and his eyes red with tears. The crowd booed him, some even shouting, "Thief! Wicked man, you thought people will cry forever, but today you cried." The giant dogs growled low, reminding him that his life had been spared only by mercy. Mrs. Grace stepped forward and said calmly, "Benson, let this be the last time you use your job to oppress innocent people. You have stolen from the poor for too long. Today, your wickedness ended." Mr. Benson couldn't speak. He simply hung his head in shame and staggered away, leaving behind the street he once terrorized. From that day, nobody ever saw him collecting bribes or threatening people with disconnection again. Fear and disgrace had changed his story. The women looked at each other, smiling with relief. The neighborhood clapped for them, celebrating their courage. Justice had finally been served. Moral lessons. Wickedness has an expiring date. No matter how long evil continues, one day it will meet its judgment. 2. Never use your position to oppress others. Authority is for service, not for exploitation. 3. Unity is power. When people stand together against injustice, even the strongest oppressor will fall. 4. What you sow, you will reap. If you cheat and torment others, one day you will face the same measure. My dear viewers, thank you so much for watching this story. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something powerful from it. Please, if you have not subscribed yet, kindly subscribe to this channel, like this video and share it with your friends and families. More interesting, suspenseful, and lesson-filled stories are coming your way. Don't miss out. Stay connected, stay blessed, and see you in the next story.